guys, and welcome to another day of Vlogmas. Today I thought I would do kind of another special edition of an on my shelf video and talk about all of the short story collections that I own. Now some of these I have read cover to cover, others I have just read bits and pieces of, and some others I still haven't touched at all, so we will get quite a mix here, and let's go ahead and get into it. I don't know what that action was. That was very... I'm dancing. I don't know. Okay, let's move on. I guess the best place to start is just the collection I'm currently in the middle of, and that is Unaccustomed Earth by Jhumpa Lahiri. Now I also own Interpreter of Maladies by Jhumpa Lahiri, which I have read a couple of times all the way through, and I really love this collection. I actually wrote my senior thesis on some of the short stories in here, and if I was to recommend just one story, I would say check out This Blessed House, which is my personal favorite from this collection. And if I was to recommend one from this collection, I would say check out Hell Heaven. Now if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know I've been reading this since spring of this year, so it's taken me quite a while. I think I'm just not enjoying it quite as much as Interpreter of Maladies, because the stories are longer, but that doesn't necessarily make them better, if you know what I mean. I feel like she explored very similar themes in Interpreter of Maladies, but she did it a lot more concisely and a lot better. So that's just kind of how I'm feeling it right now. I will finish this, but yeah, so far I think this is an inferior collection in my opinion. Then I have Teach Us to Outgrow Our Madness by Kenzaburo Oye, which I read earlier this year and which I did a blog post review on, so I will link that in the description in case you're interested in seeing my full thoughts. But basically I thought this was really amazing. I was really astounded by what he can do with language. I will say that the first novella in here is ridiculously hard to get through, and if you need to skip that one, I would say go ahead. It's got very strange formatting with like no quotation marks and then quotation marks in weird places, and it's very hard to read. But if you can get to the story Prize Stock, I would really recommend that one. If you can get to Agwe, the Sky Monster, I would also recommend that one. Then another one I have reviewed is Where We Go When All We Were Is Gone by Sequoia Nagamatsu. This is a 2016 release from Black Lawrence Press, and if you are at all interested in Japanese pop culture or myth, I would say check this one out. It's got a really wide range of stories or topics covered here. We have a little bit of commentary on like nuclear energy and how maybe that would spawn Godzillas in the future. We've got a story about kind of like a waiting room for the Japanese afterlife. We've got a story about a man whose son gets killed at sea, and it's just a really beautifully written collection, and I would definitely look forward to anything Sequoia Nagamatsu puts out in the future. Then I have two short story collections which again I have completed and that I read for school, and those are Hemingway's In Our Time and Tim O'Brien's The Things They Carried. Now I'm mentioning these two kind of in the same breath because I think they're similar in that they are all distinct short stories, and yet they're all kind of connected by this one by these like sort of chapters that exist in between stories, and then this one definitely by the theme of men returning from the war in Vietnam. I don't honestly remember a whole lot about this one other than I found it very moving, and this one gives me hope for Hemingway. The only other Hemingway I have read is The Old Man and the Sea, and I absolutely hated it. I did not see the point of it. So while I am going to reread that one, I feel like this gave me hope for Hemingway because all of the short stories were very engaging. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it gives me hope. I would say the vast majority of the short story collections I own are books I needed for classes when I was in school, and then we never finished the collection, we just read a few short stories. So the first one of those is Sightseeing by Ratchawet Lapsharowansap. This is one I definitely would love to finish because I was really enjoying the short stories in here, and I would definitely recommend the title short story. Lapsharowansap is a Thai-American author, I believe, and most of these stories are set in Thailand, which is very which is a setting I just don't read about often, and I again really enjoyed what I did read out of this. I then have Battleborn by Claire Vaye Watkins, and honestly I wasn't super in love with this. These are all stories set in Nevada, generally around the Las Vegas area, and I just didn't, I mean, like, they kind of felt like they were written kind of like an indie movie where it's kind of quiet, not a whole lot happens, you're kind of in a crap town in the middle of nowhere, but they just weren't as compelling as an indie movie, if that makes any sense. I know she's since come out with a novel, which again has had very mixed reviews, so I would like to complete this just so that I can like I don't know, experience the whole thing and then give an accurate yay or nay to it, but from what I did read, I just don't remember being super blown away. A collection I would like to actually try again this year is Kurt Vonnegut's Welcome to the Monkey House. Vonnegut tends to be one of those big name American authors that you think of when you think of American literature, and yet I really haven't read anything by him. I've read a few stories out of this, but that's kind of it. So I feel like I should at least finish the Vonnegut I have before diving into some of his other stuff. This one is kind of a fun one. I have Don't Bet on the Prince, Contemporary Feminist Fairy Tales in North America and England by Jack Zipes. If you are at all interested in fairy tales or fairy tale retellings, Jack Zipes is kind of the big scholar on the topic, especially when it comes to feminism and depictions of women. So if you're interested in that, I would definitely check this out. I know we read his retellings of Rapunzel, Sleeping Beauty, and Little Red Riding Hood. I believe Snow White is also in here, and there's actually just like a whole lot in here, so I would definitely check this one out. It's a lot of fun. Then in terms of short story collections that I own but haven't read at all, I have a pretty small stack here, starting with The Garden Party and Other Stories by Catherine Mansfield. Now I purchased this one mainly because Holly from Holly Dunn Design did the cover art, which is absolutely stunning, by the way, Holly. Job well done. From what I understand, Catherine Mansfield is like a modern classics author who is from New Zealand, so I'm really hoping to enjoy this. I know Holly talks very highly of her work, and I'm planning to read this one I think around spring because just, I mean, doesn't that make you think of spring? Another recent acquisition is Families Among Us, Stories by Blake Kimsey. Now this one is actually a chapbook that is again put out by Black Lawrence Press, so yes, they do amazing covers in case you were wondering. I heard about this one on Jen Campbell's channel a while ago, so I honestly don't remember a whole lot about it, but I remember that she said that the imagery was really beautiful and the writing was really beautiful. So I received this one for review, and I will be getting to this one very, very soon. Then I have another BookTube inspired collection, and that is How to Breathe Underwater by Julie Oranger. If you follow Mercedes at all, you know that she was raving about this last year, so I'm very eager to get to this. From what I understand, it is a collection of short stories that all revolve around what it's like to be a teenager, which is not something I read about too often, so hopefully I enjoy it. This was actually my brother's copy. He had to read this for school, something that I never had to do myself. So those were all of these short story collections on my shelves, and if I have read and reviewed any of them, I will leave links in the cards and in the description box for you guys to check out. But otherwise, I think that's all for today's video, so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantabulous day. Don't know why I said fantabulous, but anyways, I will see you in another Vlogmas video tomorrow. Bye!